question for these candidates. What is the role of CFS and how does it relate to Trent? We're going to start with Erika. You have 2 minutes to respond.
So the role of CFS and how it relates to Trent is they work towards bringing a more equitable campus and a better environment for all students regardless of their backgrounds or their sexual orientation or anything else really that identifies them as a person or that they identify themselves as a person. They work towards lowering tuition for students to make it possible for students to be able to go to university. Different things that you wouldn't even think of as far as what really relates to students. So things like the way that teachers treat their students and how they follow the syllabus rules and so on and so forth. And I think that they're a really great tool to utilize.
Thank you. Boykin, would you like me to repeat the question? Okay, you have 2 minutes to answer the question.
Good evening, everyone. CFS is the inter-university organization where a lot of different universities across on Canada come together to discuss serious issues that are facing their student bodies. So their goal and objective is to try to make equitable campus. They try to voice our concerns at the political, the federal, the provincial, and municipal level so that we can get things done for our students. It's more of a solidarity purpose so that we can voice our concerns collectively. It's a great platform or tool to use collectively so that we can get things done in solidarity. And it's important to bring it to campus to run effective campaigns that they do. Unfortunately, we need to always be realistic with CFS, and we have to make sure that campaigns are appropriate for Trent. We need to promote campaigns that are very specific to our needs as students. We're a small university, and they present a lot of different universities across Canada, and we just need to realize that when using them as a platform.
Okay, thank you. So, Boykin, you have 2 minutes, 30 seconds to rebuttal Erika's response.
Well, I just would ask Ms. Butler, how does she expect to use CFS and what they have to offer?
Erika, you have 30 seconds to respond.
I definitely plan on keeping an open communication line with those who work with both the national and provincial level of CFS, find the campaigns that cater best towards our small school, like you mentioned, and really draw on those and sort of promote those activities and those events and such at our campus.
Thank you. Erika, you have 30 seconds to provide a rebuttal for Boykin's initial answer.
So you mentioned that CFS has certain events and different things that don't really work towards our size school. How do you plan on going about picking which ones are more realistic to us without pushing away a different group that may be affected by certain campaigns?
When I mentioned that, I'm very specific about it. Their social campaigns are very good. For example, their challenge anti-racism, homophobia. So those campaigns socially are very good, and I think we can use those. There are other campaigns for tuition fees that unfortunately aren't so realistic for our university, especially with the SMA and how we want to budget ourselves and to keep student interest rates at a certain amount.
I have to cut you off, sorry. Thank you for your response, though. So we're going to move to the second question that I have for the 2 of you. And we're going to start with Boykin's response first, or Boykin's answer rather. How will you ensure that the consistency of campaigns is ongoing throughout your term? So you have 2 minutes to respond.
Okay, I think it's very important that we build on the past and make sure that we develop an innovative present with campaigns. There are a lot of campaigns that have happened within the association that we need to bring back, like for example the carnival language, which I've seen my first year, which wasn't done this year, and I think next year would be a good tool to use because first year is this year and next year haven't seen it. And it's all about sustaining and making sure that we are consistent with our campaigns and not dropping any in the near future. And I think we need to be innovative with our campaigns. And there are are a lot of different things that I hope to accomplish. For example, tuition fees and assisted bursaries, anti-racism and cultural awareness. Those two things intertwine, but they are very distinctly different. Elections that will be happening in 2015, which is a serious issue, or we need to promote the awareness of voting, and global environmental sustainability and community development. These are all important campaigns that I think we need to be consistent with. We shouldn't segregate ourselves as an association from the masses, from clubs and groups and levy groups. We need to work with them so we have a positive relationship with our community. And in doing so, we're being consistent with our student body. We are supporting them, and once we support our community and make sure that we are developing our community, then we can have a good and strong membership. We can have a membership that will come out to campaigns and events and make sure that we are relevant. We stay relevant for them and we serve them.
Thank you. Erika, you have 2 minutes to respond to the question. Do you need to hear it again? Okay. How will you ensure that the consistency of campaigns is ongoing throughout your term?
I definitely want to work with the different commissioners on their campaigns and keep those going strong and making sure that they have the tools that they need to run their campaigns. Reach out to the students and find out what they see the issues are, and if they feel as if they're being left out of certain things. Really reach out to the students and make sure that their voice is heard, because a lot of times I find that students are saying that they're not being heard by staff and faculty, and really grow on that and make sure that things, the students have their voice and that campaigns are run with the students in mind, and just kind of building off of that.
Thank you. Okay. Now, Boykin, Erika, you're going to have a 30-second rebuttal to Boykin's initial answer.
So you said you wanted to build on the past with some events that never went forward into future years. Do you think that reasons as to why they didn't go forward may harm the future of the association, and that there may be reasons why they didn't proceed?
I never said that they didn't proceed. They were actually successful campaigns that I think, which speaks to the original question, we need to be consistent. We shouldn't drop campaigns. When a new vice president of campaigns and equity comes in, we need to make sure that our campaigns stay on our pages. We don't drop anything and we remain consistent. There were successful campaigns like Accountable Language, Cover Me, which continues, On the Move, which was somewhat dropped within the second semester. And it's all about making consistency. We don't drop anything in the future.
Boykin.
Sorry.
Okay. Now we have Boykin. You have 30 seconds to provide a rebuttal to Erika's initial answer.
I just have a question. What experience do you currently have to make sure that it's consistent with campaigns and reaching out to students, especially marginalized groups or individuals?
So this past year, I've gotten a lot of experience by working with Zosky College Cabinet. I sat on the Student Senate Caucus as well as their vice chair, and I gained a lot of experience with students working in other colleges and seeing the differences that they face as well, just because a lot of the colleges are built differently. So getting to see the challenges that they faced have really sort of opened up my way of thinking and it taught me to put my own bias behind and really approach items with an open mind.
Okay. Thank you both. We'll move on to the last question that we have for you. How will you balance campaigns that are stress relievers for students compared to those that focus on key issues at the university level and beyond? So we'll start with Erika. You have 2 minutes to respond.
So I definitely want to show students what the pros and cons are of both the stress relieving campaigns as well as the ones that have more of an educational or academic background. The stress relieving ones are fun, and students, it really gets their engagement, and that can help in promoting the other campaigns that may not seem as interesting to other students. So I definitely want to show them the pros and cons of both and why you need that balance to proceed positively within your university career.
Okay, thank you. Boykin, you have 2 minutes to respond to the question. Do you need to hear it again?
Sure.
Okay. How will you balance campaigns that are stress relievers for students compared to those that focus on key issues at the university level and beyond?
I think timing is very important. Like I said before, our campaigns need to be appropriate in timing, especially when it's like stress time for midterms. We need to make sure there's campaigns for awareness of academic skills that can help students, mental health with depression or stress and stuff related in that matter. And I think it's just in timing and making sure there's some kind of balance. As a current director, we are trying to talk about how we can balance fun activities with more academic-related activities to make sure that there's a balance. And I think that it's all about timing, especially within the academic year. We need to, when coming in, if elected, we have to make sure that you have a good campaigns guide and that it's in good consistency throughout the year. Of course, you have to be flexible and realize that some things not always work out, but you have to be very flexible in timing.
Thank you. All right, Boykin, you have 30 seconds to provide a rebuttal for Erika's initial response.
Students, first-year students don't have so much of an idea of what the TCSA is all about, and I'm sure you would agree. And to your response, the balance between fun activities for first-year students, and what I'm talking about in context, the balance between fun activities and academic-related, how do you expect to go about that and making sure that campaigns and events are met?
Erika, you have 30 seconds, please.
So in terms of first year, really showing them that the association is more than just something that's academic, that they can provide the stress relief, and that they have a lot of other they have a lot of things that students can utilize throughout the next 3 to 4 years that they're at the university, so that they want to come back and they want to approach us with their questions and their concerns, and we can build on the association as the students grow up and as they move along in their career.
Thank you. Erika, you have 30 seconds to provide a rebuttal to Boykin's initial response.
So you talked a lot about timing and making sure that things are happening around stressful times, and I've noticed that a lot of that already happens. How are you going to improve on that to make sure that that grows and expands?
Like I said before in the original question, I think it's all about working well with levy groups, with clubs and groups, equity commissioners, making sure that we use these tools to reach out to students so that we can use them to get out our voice and get involved at those specific times. Timing is very important when planning a lot of different campaigns throughout the year, and if you don't keep that in mind, you will bound to fail.
Thank you. So we'll now open up the floor to questions from the audience. Zach?
So the VPC position is a co-chair during all the major weeks in terms of Frost Week and ISW. Considering the issues that have been around in terms of how Welcome Back Week kind of keeps going on and it's exhausting, and maybe we should move back and have our efforts during ISW, how do you as a co-chair for this week see that happening? How would you make that come about? Because it's already a busy schedule. So how would you place TCSA in a position to advertise themselves well?
Erika, 30 seconds.
Really provide a lot of the activities that the students want that also aren't really covered by the colleges. So promote the different services that the TCSA offers, show them the different levy groups and the different commissioners and the issues that they deal with, but provide it in a way that's interesting to the students so that they want to really utilize us and our campaigns, and they want to come back for more.
Boykin, 30 seconds.
Currently, ISW is probably known as the time for colleges and university, and I know it's very difficult for the TCSA to get in place. And especially from an international student's perspective, when students are drained doing all those high activities, I think we just need to make sure our timing is very right. And we, for my position, Campaigns and Equity, I use that timing to introduce myself to the student body, get out when we have Intro Fest, and speak about the campaigns that we're expected to do throughout the year.
Thank you. Okay, yeah.
If you can only accomplish one goal in your next term in your position, what would that be and why?
We're going to start with Boykin this time, 30 seconds.
I would say my one goal would be to at least run one campaign every month addressing through the equity commissioners, supporting equity commissioners to make sure they get their duties done, and working with levy groups or clubs that may want to do a campaign. My ultimate goal is to get one campaign done every month, which is my duty and according to the bylaws. That would be my main job and focus I hope to accomplish.
Erika, 30 seconds.
I want to increase the student voice on campus. I want to show students that they can, when they have a problem, that there are people that they can go and talk to, and they can put their own opinions forward, and that they can get their own ideas out there, and we can work towards a solution together as a student body, as the association, with the equity commissioners, and really build back the student voice that we've been given with having such a small community.
Thank you. Raya, your question?
Okay, so my question is, this position is definitely not an easy one to handle, balancing, I definitely need to have some sort of personal life to keep yourself sane. But how do you plan to, balance all these tasks, especially as there may be a situation where the people you're working with aren't as, I wouldn't say useful, but aren't as productive as they can be, or if it is that your board isn't as responsive as it needs to be, like what do you plan to sort of engage your board members, people who you are working for, I should say, just to make sure that your tasks are done as they need to be.
Erika, 30 seconds.
I definitely want to give people who are involved in whatever campaign is going on enough time that they can sort of figure out their own schedules so that there's no last minute stress put on anyone, myself and the other commissioners included. Really work on sort of organization and proceeding in a way that things are laid out so that people walking into the job know what's expected of them over the next 12 to 8 months, however long their position is.
Thank you. Boykin, 30 seconds.
Obviously, the main answer to that would be time management. I actually have experience with going through pressure. I was the International Student Commissioner. I am currently the International Student Commissioner, and I was elected by the board to be the interim vice president. And I also was a UNICEF membership officer, and I had to run 3 campaigns and help promote the TCSA during head of Trent. So it was a time, and especially it was during reading break when it was midterm time and what's not. And I think that, wow.
Okay, the next story, Braden, this gentleman has a question first.
Hi, what makes you guys worth $17,000? What are you going to do to make sure you're not just wasting, money and making student fees go up?
Okay, Boykin, you'll respond first, 30 seconds.
I never thought of it like that, but I think that I'm the right person for this position because, one, I really care about student representation on campus. As a marginalized person, I provide that perspective to the board that can be very beneficial, and to make campaigns, events, and initiatives that speak to the concerns, needs, and interests of a lot of different student bodies. I also, gee, that scares me every time. I also hope to, yeah. You can talk to me later.
Erika, 30 seconds.
I personally, it's a lot of money that you're getting for this position, and it's a lot of responsibility, but that's something that I feel I'm good to take on. I stand with an unbiased position where I'm able to represent a lot of different students from a lot of different backgrounds with a lot of different viewpoints, and I'm willing to take on their opinions with an open mind and an unbiased position.
Thank you. We'll go with Braden, followed by James, followed by Coodside. This is a hot topic. Great.
So, my question is about CFS, and it's going to be a little bit long because it's the background. So, for the past few years, CFS has not really been engaged on campus. It's been something that a few of the previous vice president campaigns and IPA have not appreciated what they can do. Given that students pay upwards of nearly $20 a year per student for CFS, how can you ensure that students are getting the exact dollar for value that they are paying without taking away from what the TCSA does separate from CFS.
Oh, pardon me, sorry. We're trying to address questions. We're going to start with Erika this time. You have 30 seconds.
So as it was mentioned earlier, the CFS has a lot of different campaigns and stuff that really can cater towards our school, and I really want to draw on those and expand on those so that the students are getting the most from their money and we're not just letting it kind of dwindle off to the side. I want to use the representatives from the CFS at the national and provincial level to really come to our school and to show the students why the CFS is something that's good for our school and how we can expand with their help.
Thank you. Boykin, you have 30 seconds to respond.
I believe that there's a lot of services that CFS provide, like the international student card that we provide at the office, and we can use those tools and services that they provide to each of the students, and that's something that they will be paying for. Also in relation to campaigns and making sure that their resources are at our campus and their presence is known. I think it's very important that we don't become just a CFS campus. I understand we need to have their support, and we need to support them totally at a national level, but we also need to tailor our campaigns so they are appropriate to our time.
James, your question was next.
Right, as you're both aware, the SMA document has come out this year, has been a big hot topic on campus, and it's going to continue to be in the future as Trent is going to be probably most likely relying itself in new ways. So I'd kind of like you guys to both talk about your experiences with the actual documentation and maybe how you're going to help, I guess, spearhead and lead the university going towards their new directions and make sure that student input is heard.
Within 30 seconds.
My experience in relation to the SMA would be that I was working with a lot of different discussion groups to see that what they were talking about, getting students' feedback on what the SMA means to them. From an international student perspective, we talked to international students of what it meant to them, which it was a big issue. But in the future, as you can tell, the SMA wasn't really approved and there's more to be done. We need to continue that discourse, have forums, not say that students aren't interested in speaking about this, but open the discussion dialogue open to
Before I let Erika respond, I will make it clear. Obviously, I'm quite sure that all of the candidates are willing to speak to the questions further later on outside of this event. So just because they only have the 30 seconds now to respond, feel free to approach them any other time. With that being said, Erika, 30 seconds.
So my experience with the SMA has actually been quite extensive this year. Due to my experience with Sosky College Cabinet, I sat on the Senate, who is doing quite a lot of work with the SMA. My place was Student Senate Caucus. We've discussed it thoroughly. Senate has discussed it. So I've been a part of, or I've been able to watch the drafting process, the green paper, basically up to where it is at this point now. And I've seen a lot of the issues that students have with it, as well as a lot of the pros that the students have with the SMA. And I want to go out and talk to the students and show them who they can talk to.
So you had a question next?
So as an exec member, you represent the association in so many ways. How can I best articulate this? How will you ensure that you maintain good working relationships and keep your own personal opinions of situations out of working with the board, working with office staff, working with individuals across the university?
Erika, 30 seconds.
So I'm a strong believer of leaving your personality at the door and leaving your problems at the door. Walking into things with an open mind and keeping in, remembering that everyone has a different opinion on things, and that when someone brings something forward, it may not have been what you thought of, but it might not be a bad idea either, and to really approach everything kind of thinking of why is the other person bringing this to me? Sort of look at every problem from both sides and then moving on forward from there.
Thank you. Boykin, 30 seconds.
I think for this position, it's like 50% listening and then 50% transcending that message. And I think it's very important that we listen to our students and have an open mind of the different perspectives and opinions that students may have, first year, third year, or whatever it may be, and transcend that message to the university representatives in a positive way that's not personal. Like I think it's very important that I'm open-minded all the time. Speaking because I speak on behalf of hundreds of thousands of students.
Do we have any further questions for these candidates? Yes.
So I think we've talked a lot about the importance of campaigns in general, not so much about specific campaigns. What sorts of campaigns are important to you? What campaigns would you want to run next year?
Boykin, 30 seconds.
There are a lot of different campaigns that I would like to run. You can take a look at my portfolio, but briefly within the seconds that I have would be tuition fees. It's a serious issue. Students are graduating with debt. Students are graduating where it's very difficult for them to start in the workplace. And bursary assistance, which is a service that the association provides and is about Spting, and making sure that that's consistent and is withheld, and make sure it's helping students. Also environmental sustainability and community development. Yeah. Talk later.
Erika, 30 seconds.
So going off of what Boykin said, I also believe in tuition fees. It affects every student. It puts us into a lot of stress, and it causes a lot of students to not be able to go to university. And I really want to work with the students on bringing not necessarily our tuition down, because I think that's a really hard struggle we're going to face, but freezing our tuition and convincing those who are in charge of it why this is a negative thing and why we really need to look more at tuition and ways to make that better. And I also want to look at program prioritization as it's listed in the SMA, which is going to affect our school.